Do we have any Game of Thrones fans in the audience? Big ones. Me too. Me too. How about BuzzFeed addicts? Also, if you happen to be both of these two categories, it's likely that you've run into one of Antonia Bonello's works. One of her specialties is creating animations in 8-bit retro video game style, like the one she made for 14 most brutal Game of Thrones deaths for BuzzFeed, which went completely viral. What you might not know is that this piece led to BuzzFeed reaching out to her and offering her a full-time position as a content creator. Since then, she has quickly climbed up to the position of Associate Creative Director at BuzzFeed UK. BuzzFeed itself is infamous for the listicle and other super short-form content, and love it or hate it, they've become absolute masters in creating content that resonates in a very real way with people, despite our shrinking attention spans. But it's not all cat gifs and hot takes. BuzzFeed has a super data-driven approach to content creation that might surprise you. We'll hear about this in our next talk, so let's welcome Antonia to the stage.
Hey, hello. Thank you so much for coming to see me. I'm so proud to be here, and I can't wait to talk through all the stuff I'm going to talk about. So, oh, I think I forgot my clicker. Have I got my clicker? I need to be able to change the presentation. Hey, there we go. Thank you. I was so excited to get up here that I forgot my trusty clicker here. So, hello, that's me. My name is Antonia Bonello, and I'm an Associate Creative Director at BuzzFeed UK. I work on the native advertising side of BuzzFeed, meaning I work with brands to create branded content on all of the BuzzFeed platforms. I also lead media brands in the UK too, and this includes Tasty, Bring Me, As Is, Nifty, and Goodful. And I do this both editorially and for branded content. This year's been quite a year for me. 2018 means that I've got on quite a few lists, such as 50 under 30 for the Drum and 30 under 30 for Media Week. It's kind of weird because I've spent the past 4.5 years trying to write lists, and now I'm on them. This is me when I was little. That's my mum and my cat, Simba, who's a Siamese cat. I'm an only child, and my mum's a single parent, so we're so close, and you can imagine how much of a best friend she is to me. This is also probably the only picture I have of me in a dress. I'm an out and proud gay woman, and this is me with the BuzzFeed crew getting ready for London Pride. Fun fact, I was dancing and twirling so much along the parade that I hurt my foot and I couldn't walk properly for 3 weeks. I'm a black belt in karate. I've been training since I was 6 years old, ever since I watched Power Rangers. You guys have Power Rangers here? Yeah? And I was doing flying kicks off of my mum's sofa, and she couldn't handle this energy anymore, so she took me to my closest dojo, and the rest is history there. I'm a big old nerd. I love Batman, and I love comics, and if you ask anyone who knows me, anything about me, the first thing they'll say is, she loves Batman. I like to keep the personal brand pretty strong there. I love movies, especially those about singing transvestite aliens. I also love sci-fi, and I love action films, and of course, superhero films too. I tend to actually put films on in the background while I'm working instead of music like most people. And lastly, I'm a gamer. I've been playing games since Sega Mega Drive with Sonic, and then I've gone from PlayStation 1 all the way up to PlayStation 4. I secretly want to be Lara Croft. I'm dyslexic. Yay for dyslexic people. Most people think that this is bad, but I actually find it quite fun. I mean, who can say that whenever they walk past Top Man, they see tampon? I bet you all will now. So you're probably sitting there thinking, Antonia, why are you telling me all this really personal stuff? Aren't I supposed to be here learning about platforms? Well, yes. That is exactly what we're here for. But these are the things that I just told you are what defines me and what makes me unique. It's also what connects me to every single one of you here. How many of you play video games? Put your hands up. Hey, there we go. There's my gamers. Do any of you play Spider-Man? Have you played the Spider-Man game? No? If you haven't started playing it, please do. It's fantastic. I can't wait to get off this stage and go back and play it in London. Who comes from a non-traditional family like I do? Put your hands up if that's OK. Fantastic. So we've probably got so much in common, whether we've got a single parent or grown up being brought up by our grandparents. I actually find it really weird when people tell me they've got brothers and sisters, because I don't know what this dynamic's like, especially when there's fights. I don't get it. I don't get how you can punch your sister and then you still be friends. But that's just me. Controversial. Who likes pineapple on top of pizza? Oh my God, that's so great. OK, so we've got a debate in the office about who likes pineapple on pizza. And most people think I'm disgusting for liking it, but I think we should all go out to Pizza Hut or Domino's and get a Hawaiian. So how do you get to know someone? You do it by talking, listening, and learning to each other, just like a friend. And this is what is at the heart of BuzzFeed. It's about building human connections, being authentic, and how to remain agile and nimble in the platform space. This is how BuzzFeed does it, and it's also in the BuzzFeed DNA. First up, be the content that people love, and don't interrupt the content that they love. So right now, advertising is a mess. I don't know about you, whenever I go on my Facebook timeline or I'm just walking down the street, I've got every single brand shouting at me, buy me, look at me, I want everything from you. And it's so constant that I have become desensitized to it, and I'm sure you guys have too. And if anything, we get annoyed by the brands that do it. This is why human connection is so important and wins over reach. Because when you have the human connection, it means that you can immediately talk to someone, you're on the same level. And at BuzzFeed, we have different pillars which allow us to have this human connection. First up, you've got identity. So I've already shared different parts of my identity with you, and I hope that some of you like me because of that. Yeah? Oh, thank you. Whew. Cheers. But whether you're right-handed or left-handed, maybe you're ginger, you've got green eyes, or maybe you like video games and a big old nerd like me. These things make you unique, but they also bring you together because the world's so big and you don't want to be lonely, right? Then we've got emotion. So emotion is such a powerful factor with any decision that we make. And if you can create content that has emotion, so whether it be happy, sad, nostalgic, hungry maybe, then you can kind of get that human connection there. Then you've got aspiration. What drives you in the morning? What drives you to get up and do the things you do? If you can inspire people to do things, whether it's, I don't know, build a new desk from hand, or create or try out a recipe, or even just take a nice picture, you're doing something for them, you're inspiring them. And then we've got information. If you can teach someone something, be it a fun fact about fish, or if you can teach them how to create a really nice roast dinner, then you're teaching them something. And who doesn't want to look clever in front of their friends, right? Then you've got to think about how your content serves a purpose. What's the utility behind it? So many brands that I know are just trying to tell people, hey, will you buy my stuff, buy my stuff? Yeah, I'm good, buy my stuff. When really, you should actually think about what you can do for your audience. Why should they buy your stuff? Because there's so many brands doing the exact same thing. You've really got to try and cut through the noise. And then think about how content gets people to connect to each other, be it how it connects to their mum or their friend or someone they might not have spoken to in the past 10 years. Whenever the latest Batman meme comes out, I get at least 12 people tagging me that exact same meme. I mean, I like to keep my brand strong. but if you think about the kind of people that are tagging me in the same meme, these are people I haven't spoken to since I was 14 years old, and yet they still think of me, and they find a way to connect. If you get people sharing, they become your advocates. Now, consider looking through your timeline, right? You scrolling across, and you see a video being shared by a brand. Now, what's the chances you're actually going to stop and look at this brand's video? Quite low, yeah? Now, think about when you're going through your timeline, and your best friend has just shared a video. You're more likely to stop. Because not only is your best friend, you've got things in common. They've also become an advocate for that piece of content because they like it. And if they like it, the chances are you're going to like it too. This is why big reach isn't important to us. It's all about impact. Now, this wouldn't be a talk about platforms without mentioning the dreaded algorithm change. I'm pretty sure you've all heard of them, right? A little grumble. OK, so algorithm changes happen across platforms all the time, and they can cause quite a stir when in publishing. So Facebook prioritizes meaningful social interactions now. I'm going to call it MSI because I'm dyslexic, and saying those words is terrible for me, and I'm likely to start spitting across the stage. So Facebook prioritizes high MSI. This means that the content that's shared and interacted and created by your friends and family is automatically put higher up your timeline. Because BuzzFeed creates content that automatically has a human connection and people want to share, it means that we're automatically higher on MSI in comparison to brands and publishers that don't really use their content in that way. And people want to share our content. That's what's really important. And this means that we can break through organically. I accidentally did this when I was first starting out. So I specialize in creating 8-bit animations. And I was commissioned by BuzzFeed to create some recaps of TV shows. One of them in which was Game of Thrones, 14 Most Brutal Deaths. And this went viral across the UK, the US, and Europe. And it also landed me my first role at BuzzFeed, which I'm very proud of. But when I think about it, I had unwittingly managed to hit all these different human connections. So first of all, you've got the Game of Thrones fandom. Who here's Game of Thrones fans? Hey, there we go. So it's very big. It's a very big fandom. And then you've got 8-bit, which hits an emotional side of nostalgia for people who are from an older generation. But it also hits a nerd identity for people who like retro gaming. And then you've got these little cute people cutting each other's heads off and all these bloody pixels flying around everywhere, which really hits the morbid sense of humor. And since I've been at BuzzFeed, I've packaged these up, and I've done them for several brands, including Friends TV show, Transport for London, and Orange is the New Black. Next up, be data-driven. BuzzFeed makes over 600 pieces of content a day. That is 9 billion views globally a month. That's a hell of a lot of stuff that we can learn from. No, we don't expect every single 600 pieces to perform, but even if 1% does, it means we've done a great job. But the other percent, what doesn't work, we can learn from. And we pick up these signals, and we use them in a feedback loop. Because BuzzFeed creates content that's around human connection, that people genuinely want to interact with and are engaged with, we get lots of feedback. And what we can do is we can take these learnings, adjust, and pivot our next move. It means that we're on the pulse of behaviors, thinking, and trends. We create a piece of content, and we put it out, and then we watch in real time what people like, what they don't like, what we can expand on, and also how they interact differently across the different platforms. And then we create a new piece of content based on those learnings, 600 times a day, 365 days a year. I personally love to go through all the different comments, whether I'm creating a piece of work myself or I need something to inform my next move. I love seeing what people say about the rest of the stuff we're putting out. I mean, if people keep on talking about avocados in the comments, maybe my next piece of content should be about avocados, right? And what's better is that we can and we do these for brands. We use these learnings to create branded content. And what we do is, because of these learnings, we create content that breaks through all that advertising, buy me noise, because we're creating stuff that's relevant, has brand affinity, and most importantly, has impact. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, and definitely don't cook them the same way. So at BuzzFeed, we drive our content to our audiences however, wherever, and whenever they're consuming it. We basically meet people where they are, instead of trying to drag them back to our platforms. We're on 30 different platforms, including our own owned and operated websites and apps. This means that we're very agile when it comes to different algorithm changes. I mean, you can imagine how across 30 different platforms, there's so many algorithm changes going on, right? It means if, say, views dip on one side, we can easily step over and start creating a bit more content on another. It basically means that we don't have to rely on one platform, especially if you consider how we've got different generations. Millennials might be moving from one platform to another, or there might be a new audience which is emerging on, say, Snapchat or Instagram. And then optimize your content. I can't stress this enough. I really can't. So we get to optimize our content because we learn through data in our feedback loop, right? We get to see exactly how people are interacting. So if you're on Facebook, I remember a couple of years ago, the done thing was, if you wanted to share a piece of content, you'd put it on your own wall, or you'd share it onto someone else's wall, right? Nowadays, people share by commenting and @ing their friends, saying, this is so you. So if that's the current function and the way people are using a platform, which has changed, why would you then create content that requires an actual share? And what's more, why would you target the performance of a piece of content on that function? And even more, why would you then try and distribute that content onto another platform that doesn't even have a share function? I mean, it beats me. It doesn't make sense. And then there's a fact that I quite like, and I've learned this quite recently. So the average human attention span is about 8 seconds. To put that into context, that's less than a goldfish. Crazy, right? And even to get more a bit complicated, people's attention spans actually differ depending on what platform they're looking on. So if you've got a website which has much more longer-form content, people go on that for a reason and will look at your long-form content. If you're on something like Instagram Stories or Snapchat, people's attention spans might even just be 3 seconds long because you're constantly scrolling, waiting. And you need to figure out what's going to stop that thumb from scrolling past. Who remembers or knows of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Oh, thank God. I wasn't too sure if this was going to work, but great. So I've got a £1 million question for you. Complete this sentence. BuzzFeed is the biggest blank in the world. A, sharer of cute cat gifs. B, for Disney princess lists. C, quizmaster. Or D, candle maker. What do you guys reckon? Shout out to me. Candle making. Who thought candle making? One person. Hey, congratulations. So BuzzFeed has another arm to it called BuzzFeed Commerce. What BuzzFeed Commerce does is it creates in real life products and consumer goods. And we create these consumer goods based on data, feedback loops, and human connection, just like we do with all of our digital stuff. And one of the products from this was homesick candles. Now, these candles are, how many different states are there in the US? 50, right? So there's 50 different candles, all of which smell differently depending on what state they represent. Now, you're probably thinking, what the hell is this about, right? But you've got human connection. You've got the emotion of nostalgia of home. You've got the identity of being proud of where you're from. And then you've got a lovely purpose of a nice smelling candle. Lovely. I mean, I'm from East London, and I'm glad that they don't have an East London smelling candle. It probably smell like rotten eggs and pollution, so let's not get this into the UK, yeah? But before BuzzFeed sold this company, it actually made us one of the biggest candle makers in the world. Not bad for a little website, hey? Next up, culture, man. I like this GIF, and I hope you do too. So I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. So culture is so, so important. The way it works, so when I go into my office, we've got everyone chatting, we've got different teams talking to each other. We're talking about the current events which are happening, what people have been doing last night. We brainstorm together, and this just builds and builds more and more ideas. We also make sure that we hire people from diverse backgrounds. This allows us to tap into new ideas and viewpoints, which is much better if you've got all people from the same area coming up with the exact same content all the time. And because we create 600 pieces of content a day, and we know that it's not going to be viral, it means that there's less fear of failure. And because there's less fear of failure, it means that we give our content creators space and time for innovation and risk-taking. And because we've got our feedback loop, it also means that we can make educated guesses. So even if something is a bit risky, we've got a little bit of clout to back us up. I kind of like to think of this as a choose-your-own-adventure of content, as chosen by our audiences. Now, I love this example. So the president of the United States called BuzzFeed a failing pile of garbage on live TV. That obviously generated a lot of conversation in the BuzzFeed offices. I mean, it's not often that a president of the United States calls you a load of crap, really. So what came of this? We made a limited edition trash can and clothing line in just 3 hours. And what's more is we sold out of every single one of them in 1 day. We gave all our proceeds to a charity that protects journalism and free speech. I mean, you can't get more agile and nimble than that. And you can definitely not say that that wasn't risky. OK, so I've talked the talk. And now I want to show you exactly how BuzzFeed walks the walk. So BuzzFeed, known for cat gifs and Disney princess quizzes, I'm Cinderella, by the way, has also been able to expand into food, travel, beauty, DIY, and health, all with great impact. I mean, I bet you didn't even realize that these were owned and operated by BuzzFeed. I want to take a deep dive into two. This is Tasty.
Oh, yes!
That "oh, yes" at the bit always cracks me up. So Tasty is the biggest food network in the world. It's also the #1 content publisher on Facebook. You've probably seen them on your own timelines. They're top-down, sped-up videos of hands making delicious recipes really fast. And in fact, 2 in 3 of our audience actually make our recipes. I'm one of them. So when I was first dating my girlfriend, I'm a big meat eater, and she's vegan. You can imagine the panic and the stress that I went through when I wanted to make a romantic meal. So I went onto Tasty, and I found some amazing recipes which really hit the spot. And I can probably say that one year and 3 months later, I can probably owe my relationship to Tasty. OK, so let's go back to the points that I was talking about before. First of all, we got human connection. We got the emotion of hunger. I mean, I've seen this brownie gift so many times, and it makes me hungry every single time. We've also got the utility of information. It's teaching you how to cook delicious, easy recipes. And then you've got identity. These hands could very well be yours. We don't have chefs with 30 years' experiences telling you how to make a boiled egg. We have people. Basically, everything here means that you can do it. The kitchen could be yours. The hands could be yours. And this is really great for identity. We've also got data. So weirdly, Tasty actually started off as an experiment of just how to find ways of people to stop scrolling through their timeline. We didn't even think about food. It turned out through our various iterations that food stops people scrolling by. And then again through iterations, videos about food stops people, and then so on until you see the format that you see today. But we haven't just stopped there. We've used our feedback loop to then go into different areas. We have Tasty Junior, which targets young people. We have the likes of Proper Tasty and Tasty DM and all these other different tasties around the world, which is a bit more national, and you've got national dishes on there. You've also got Tasty Vegetarian, which has been my lifesaver. Thank you. And we've also gone into different long form too. As for platforms, we started on Facebook. We've then gone on to and adapted for Instagram and YouTube. We also now have half an aisle in Walmart selling our cookware. And we also have physical recipe books too. Then we have Bring Me. Quite a big difference between Bring Me and Tasty, huh? With all the big, loud music. So people use the internet for travel, like you'd never see before. People use the internet for inspiration, all the way to booking, and then showing off afterwards about it to all their friends. Bring Me are first-person, short-form videos which show you all these unique places near and far. It inspires, is realistic, and you know exactly what you're going to get and what you're going to see if you went with your friends. This is a big difference between when you see adverts with two models who have like the perfect body on a sun lounger sipping cocktails by a really beautiful pool. Bring Me shows you stuff that's realistic and attainable. And in just 1 year, we've become the top travel publisher on the internet. Okay, let's bring it back. Let's go to those different points that I was speaking to you about before. Human connection. It inspires you, and it's realistic. You can go with your friends, and this is, if anything, like a well-traveled friend giving you recommendations. Then we've got data. So a fun fact for you is that people travel for experiences rather than destinations. And I found this out by going into different comments. So I produce my own Bring Me videos, as does the rest of my team. And one of the places that I shot at was in London, and it's a cocktail bar based on the 1940s London Underground. And when we published this video, we found out that on the comments, most people were saying, we need to go to London to go see this place. We need to experience this place. People weren't saying that they want to come to London to see Big Ben or the London Eye. They wanted to go to this little cocktail bar, which to me is like mind-blowing, considering a lot of these people from America, Australia, Asia, basically everywhere around the world. Another fun fact for you, 70% of millennials would rather choose to spend their money on experiences rather than consumer goods. And this really plays up to that. Format. So, like I said, I produce my own Bring Me videos. And actually, we build everything that we publish. The Bring Me format that you see right now actually took 28 variations of the exact same video. We tried out high resolution versus low resolution, long form versus short form, DSLR footage versus mobile phone footage. And we've come to this conclusion that this format works for us. And we're still continuing to develop, too, into much more longer-form shows. Then we go into culture. So Tasty and Bring Me were not boardroom ideas. No one came in like the Messiah with a glowing aura around their head and say, oh, we need to make a travel page, or we need to get into food. No. Bring Me and Tasty came about through spotting a thing in our feedback loop, a little signal, and we was like, this looks good. Let's develop that. And we kept on trying and tinkering until we got to the formats that we have now. And we kept on going until we cracked it. And we're still doing that. And that's it. Be the content that people love. Be data-driven and learn. Definitely don't put all your eggs in one basket, and culture is everything. It's more important than ever for publishers and content creators to make sure that we are making good content, focus on being authentic, and creating content that actually impacts our audience. Cheers.